What's up, Sherpa Network? Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Jonathan Tenenbaum, a.k.a. JT, a.k.a. Jay On, a.k.a. Sherpa Winfrey, host and producer of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Today's show is a Domain Sherpa review, getting into the minds of successful domain investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become more successful domain name investors ourselves. These are the experts, the OGs, the best in the biz. There are 4 segments to a Domain Sherpa review. We've got the grand opening. That's where we are right now, where I intro the Sherpas. We see what's going on with them, talk about some related things, some unrelated things, AKAs, and whatnot. Then we get into the domain game. That's where we hear about what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Everybody guesses on the price. We keep score. And then somehow, some way, someday, we get some swag to the winners. You shaking your head, but literally Shane is wearing a hoodie right now. The proof is on the screen. Let's
That
go.
hoodie's from 1982.
Exactly.
I handed those hoodies out at your house. You know what I'm
I
saying?
got this at a Jets concert. Like,
yeah. It's like random, like heart, a share or something like.
That hoodie says Def Leppard on the back.
it does
Exactly.
It's a Pyromania edition.
There we go. Pour some sugar on me, baby. Let's pour some domains on me. All right, and then we got the name check and the jet, where we review a list of domains coming up for auction on NameJet. We see what the Sherpas like, what they don't like, and then we get into grand closing, where we'll discuss anything we haven't already covered, what's going on in the domain space, looking at the market trends, current events, conferences, all that good stuff, allowing the guests to mention, promote anything they want to talk about that we've not already discussed, or maybe that we've already discussed. You know what? It's not that deep. But anyway, let's go ahead and introduce the Sherpas. Over to my left, we got my boy Andrew Rosner, a.k.a. Morpheus, a.k.a. the Dirk Diggler of digital assets, Bob Lee Swagger, the sniper, Drew. Drew got what I need. Never going to give Drew up, get Rick Roll, Graybeard, the domain pirate. What's going on, man? Although, not really gray-bearded. More like...
Look, tell you what, I'm 14 days into a detox. My complexion is feeling strong. You know what I'm saying? Look at this. It's like all smooth. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. There
That's
cannot
good.
be hostility on either side. Any hostility from either side at this point should be responded with extraordinary force. Extraordinary. If Hamas does anything to Israel at this point, Palestine should be a parking lot. But on the contrary, if Israel does not refrain from any further hostility in Palestine, in particular Gaza, at this point, then that is 100% in Netanyahu, and that guy's got to go. So I think that we are at a phenomenally important point where we've reset the board, and there is absolutely no excuse on either side for further hostility. And so at this point, I think the morality becomes a lot clearer. And I hope that we can move forward from there. And I hope we can maintain peace. And I'll tell you what, look, I am very skeptical. We've got 3,000 years of war. I'm skeptical that, today is the first day of peace. But I am hopeful. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I'm very grateful that a minimum that those hostages, after 2 years and 6 days, are now home, sleeping in their own beds, or at least a hospital bed, getting treated. But they are home and on their way to sleeping in their own beds, and that makes my heart smile. So.
And so you checked out like what, halfway through? So you were like 13.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, I run 20, 23 milers every weekend all year and felt fine. And then I get in a corral of 52,000 people and I had to pee, and you have to get in the corral.
Are you serious? 52,000 people?
Yeah. Yeah.
That
And
many people are stupid enough to run a marathon?
yeah. And it's like, I got in a corral. I put it like a normal time. I didn't put a real time. So I'm back with a little slower runner. So I have to pee. I have to wait in a corral for an hour. I can't find a bathroom for another hour. So 2 hours on with my governor on, trying to weave around people. And I just lost my attitude. Attitude and mental fortitude is everything in so many cases, but it's especially in endurance. That's where, like, Aaron Wilkin, he's amazingly strong mentally. Like, you can get past all the physical, and I just became weak. And so when I got through half, I'm like, this is going to be a death march. This is going to hurt so bad. I'm going to lay down a shit.
MrUncomfortable.com?
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. Like, I was disappointed in myself, but it's a one time. There's a lot of times where I've never quit before, but anytime I've done something that I didn't do as well, I regret decisions I made. This one, I haven't regretted 1 second. Like, I am so glad I just went to my hotel room, took a shower, and went home. And I got a busy November. I'm going straight from NamesCon to a 50K in Austin, Texas. So I got another go at it in 3 weeks. We'll see how that goes. And I'm not sure the day after NamesCon is the best prep for a big race, but you won't see me drinking at NamesCon. You'll see me having fun, but I probably won't be drinking.
Yeah, well, look, attitude is latitude, right? And I think you're right. I think and I think it applies in investing and domaining as well. Good. All right. Well, let's get into some actual domaining and some domain talk. So let's get right into the domain game. Drew, I'm going to kick it to you to see what you got. You got a buy or a sell?
Came prepared today. First time ever.
Wow. See, look at this. It's like the reverse of Shane situation. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. The domain it's a sale. And the domain is supercool.com.
Yeah, I'm out on this actually. So
what? You don't know?
Yeah, you told me the other day.
You see, he's not going to participate. That's what he's saying, because he knows.
I know, but I don't think I told you.
Well, you told me what the offer was, at least at some point. Like, I'm ballparked enough that I know, like, I feel like I have.
We got an offer, but that's not the offer I accepted.
I just feel it's a little bit of an unfair advantage.
A little insider information.
So,
okay.
Just to keep the, the impropriety down, the propriety up. You know what I'm saying? So we'll leave it to you guys.
All right.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's flip it and see what we're working with. This is like as close to a full on over under as you could get, man.
So JT, I'm curious, what would you have said?
Wait, see what it is. People listening.
I would have been in the same exact range. So you know,
I bid 70. I guess 75,000, and Shane guessed 75,500.
Yeah, so that's it for the folks that are listening and not watching.
I went to 500
would have
on
said
it.
75 grand too.
And the price,
sale price was $100,000.
Boom! It goes the over. Shane gets the point.
I love that name.
Go.
If I remember correctly, I bought that for $5,000. I know for a fact I bought it in Monty's NamesCon auction last year.
I was gonna say that wouldn't be recent. That was last year.
Well, I think it was Austin.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'll
That's
take
a
it.
great buy.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I love that name.
I bought it in an auction, and I feel like it was a live auction. And the only live auction I've been in the last few years was NamesCon Austin.
That was last year. Yeah, you haven't been since before COVID.
Yeah, so I think that's right. Let me.
No, it was actually nope. You're wrong. It was bought that back in 21, dude.
Really?
That makes me feel a lot better, because if I'm missing shit like that, like
yeah, actually, according to the inventory, we got it at NameJet.
Yeah, I just.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I bought it for $9,500 in 2021.
Yeah.
NameJet. Wow. I had like.
Is it possible though? Is it possible it was in the extended, like in the Monty extended auction for NamesCon? Possibly?
Oh, yeah. I bet that's what it was. I'm pretty sure that was in a live auction. I remember thinking, oh, super cool. I really like that name. And
NameJet was powering the auction for a minute.
Well,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
That is a hard name to replace, right? But again, at the end of the day,
you can replace it for
Right
100
price.
grand. You can
It's the
replace
right
it for
price.
50 grand, 20 grand. Yeah, not 20 grand probably, but
yeah.
But I think that's a good.
Something in that 25, 35 range.
Yeah.
Is what it would take to replace that name.
what would you think it'd go for at auction today? So let's say it came up today. What would
Great
that-
question. I bet it goes 15 to 25.
What I was going to say.
15
Yeah,
to
I
20.
was
15 to
gonna
20.
say, I was going to say 20 grand.
Yeah, I think that's right. 15 to 20 grand is where it goes.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to talk about, just as an example, like I just got Tory.com. Everybody, it was a public auction, so I wouldn't bring that up on Sherpa because everybody saw it. But I got Tory.com for 58 grand. I feel like that was a steal. Like, compared to 20 grand, let's say,
Why?
for a super.
Why? Because I think that's a lot. So tell me why you think it's worth that much.
And by the way, we're talking about Tory,
It's
we're talking about TORY.com, just to give the audience a perspective. Anybody who's not, so Drew paid about 60 grand for it in auction pretty recently.
58,
58, 50, 58. And,
That's
and Braden thinks it's a lot. I kind of think it's a lot too, but
But so first off, I have said this on this show, in my opinion, and look, I am like the two-letter dots, like me and Jack at DN.com, who believe two-letter.coms are the holy grail of digital naming. Okay. But outside of that, in my opinion, a four-letter, easy to spell, pronounceable, four-letter brand, one word, first name, whatever it might be, is the holy grail of branding. In all of the best sales that I have ever made, you could say Zoom, you can say YOLO, you could say Gala, you could say I don't know. There's a lot of them. All of my best sales ever were four-letter.coms. Obviously, I have some killer two-letter.com sales too, but of one-word.coms, all of my best sales, all of them were always one-word, four-letter.coms. And in particular, the best ones are the ones that are a CVCV, consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. So Tory.com, literally, it checks every freaking box you can think of. It's a first name, a common first name. It's an easy to spell consonant, vowel, four-letter. It's represents many existing brands. It ticks every single box. So to me, and if you do your homework, which I like to do when I'm buying a bigger name, this domain has never been available for sale. Now, I actually have some history with this name. Back in 2018, and then again in 2021, and then again in 2023, I had direct correspondence with the owner. At one point, I had a deal to buy this domain for 40 grand, and then the guy backed out because the domain was owned by his whole family, and the whole family decided, no, we're not going to sell it. So I had a deal to buy it for 40 grand. The family backed out. The domain has never, ever been for sale. And when he backed out, he didn't try to raise the price. He said, the family has decided we are not selling the domain because it was owned by their father or the grandfather or something. The domain was owned by a Japanese family since inception. It's never been available for sale. It has just been in a lockbox. It was almost impossible to even get a hold of these people. And so those are my favorite things. I think where we're heading with AI is, everybody having these individual agents, corporations having agents for hire, and all those things. They're gonna have names, or maybe not all of them are gonna have first names, but it makes sense. If you look at AI through media, right? Media, let's say entertainment becomes reality. And so, because that's what's programmed into us. If you look at the smartest engineers and the smartest physics people and the smartest, they look at Elon, right? He's the perfect example. Everything he does, he names it after something from sci-fi, from one of his favorite sci-fi novels, or from, Peter Thiel does the same. The Anduril guy does the same. Like all these names, they all come from sci-fi. And so I think where we're headed, there is a very promising future. Rick Schwartz agrees. He for whatever reason took the .ai pill. But I think that short, easy to spell first names have a very promising future for AI, and then for all the other reasons that I already mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, nothing's changed over time. People love names. People like naming their company after their last names. They like naming them after Greek things. They like naming them after planetary. Like none of this has changed. It's just
invokes all that meaning, all that history, all that recognition. It invokes it when you use a name. It makes sense.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter what you're naming. It's naming. It doesn't matter what the product is. It just it is eternal. So I think names would always be that way. And again, even last names, like people love naming things after themselves.
Oh yeah. It's shockingly hard. If you look at like a list of like the 1,000 most common last names, it is shockingly difficult to find one that you could buy. Forget about the price. It's shockingly difficult just to find one you can buy. Either it's already owned by two cows that hover, their naming platform, or it's owned by a corporation or it's owned by a family office, or it's owned by, somebody that's, recognized and resourced. You can't get them. You can't. You
All
can't.
right, since.com.
Since.com. Ready?
All right.
1, 2, 3.
All right. So Drew is at 125,369. Shane's at 240,000. I'm at 350,000.
Nice little increments there.
Yeah.
$110,000 increments.
It's interesting that they're $110,000 increments because I sold it for exactly $110,000.
Boom! That's me,
No way.
baby.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
So
Okay.
Drew takes it. That was my bin, which
right.
I've raised it over the years, but somebody just hit the buy now. Well, they called with the question, but they paid full price. I've had this name for 12 years.
Wow.
And I paid $8,500 for it.
Yeah. I was gonna say I knew it's the kind of name that you would only pay 10 grand or less. It's one of those names. I've got 20, 30 of these oneword.coms, that are just sort of like, well, I guess I'll take it because I could probably get my money back on Dropcatch or NameJet or something, but it's like a flyer, it's a punt. And
it's a weird word. However, I've gotten a lot of action. I've gotten a lot of offers over the years on this name.
do you know who the buyer is? Do you know what they're going to use it for?
I don't.
You're sure it's what since.com will be.
Somebody offered me 50, I think, like a month ago.
Probably the same buyer.
No, it's different buyer. Different buyer. I think it was an investor. But I've gotten a number of offers over the years, and so I was just like, I'm gonna hold.
Just call one of the
and I
call James Booth. It was probably him running who the real buyer was.
Right.
He figured out. He somehow figured out that this guy was going to be showing up. I'll tell you what. There's nobody in the world with better timing of knowing who is about to buy a domain.
Yeah.
However he does it, he just knows who's about to buy a domain. He gets out in front of it.
So I actually, when that offer came in at 50 and it was an investor, I thought, maybe 110 is too low now. Maybe I should raise it again because I haven't raised it in a few years. And I forgot about it, even though I was thinking about raising it. And then somebody pulled the trigger on it. So, but it's a decent return, so I can't complain too much.
Nope.
All right, Shane, what you got, man? You got to buy, you got to sell.
I thought I sold something on Adam. An email came up and I go, I'm going to switch it up. And then I saw it's a buyer mispayment.
Oh shit! It's like that. That was a roller coaster of emotions.
I was like, oh man! Like, when I get an alert from Adam, I get excited when it's not payment time. Yeah, I'll go with a buy. Oh, hold on, I just got another message. I bought an odd one, but a name I like. Agenix, AGE.
Oh, you that dude.
It was you, huh?
Oh, so you guys know?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I don't know exactly because once I make up my mind, I stop watching. Once I make up my mind, I'm out. I stop watching. But I know.
Well, at least I feel good that other people were interested in it.
Directionally, I actually. Well, we'll find out exactly what you paid, but I actually think it's a great name. Ton of end users.
That's what I was gonna say. The use case when I started looking, I was like,
ton of end users.
Yeah.
So are we going with that one for the game? Braden, do you know what he paid for it?
No, I have no idea. I just saw it, but I didn't see any pricing.
So it's AGENICS, Agenix?
NIX.
X. IX.
Oh.
Age NIX.
AGENIX.
Now I can find out Drew's username.
You don't know my username by now?
Not where was that? That was where was that?
No, GoDaddy, there's no usernames.
No, where was that? Where did I?
It was Dropcatch.
Oh, Dropcatch. That's right. Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1, flip it. All right. So Drew's at 5,899. I'm at 10,000 and Braden is at 15,000.
Drew got a freebie because he was in it. It was 5,300.
Okay. All right.
Oh, wow. So, I think I backed out at like 5.
Mm-hmm.
So well, you got a freebie there. That was.
I'll tell you, this is a game I play, and I don't know if it psychologically works or not, but I don't have any proxies at all. When there's two people bidding it up, at the very last minute, I step in and add that third name where other people go, fuck, like this must be a new guy, like that was waiting or an NU. I don't know. To me, I hate it when I'm bidding against somebody else and then a third party comes in and adds to it.
Yeah, well, because you lose hope.
You lose hope. So
The key
that's
to every
usually me.
battle is to make the other party lose hope.
Yeah. So those guys were battling for like $2,000, and then I step in. They were at like 4,800, and I stepped it to 5,300, and it just kind of ended. Like nobody else came back after going for hours. You know how it extends to 5 minutes. Just
Yeah, no, look, that's a great pickup. That name has a ton of end users. I actually did a little digging on it. And the only reason I didn't buy it is because I literally have just bought so many domains in the last couple of weeks. And I just at some point I was just like, oh,
it's so diverse. Like it's AI, it's pharmacy, it's
totally.
yeah.
Totally.
When I looked at the quality of end users,
There's a lot of end users and a lot of just, not no like monsters, but a lot of great mid-market companies that are going to pay you. Probably you're going to get,
Yeah.
50 grand, 75 grand for that.
Yeah, that's what I like. How easy could I get a 10?
And you could get six figures for that.
All right, let's keep it moving though, because we got the Name Jack and a Jet segment sponsored by Name Jet. We review a list of domains coming up for auction, see what the Sherpas like, what they don't like. You could go to the Domain Sherpa post for this episode, and in the show notes we got the link where you can we got the list of domains linked. We also have the Excel spreadsheet. It's got a bunch of helpful information, so get your learn on, not financial advice and all that good stuff, but some stuff to maybe help y'all get involved if some of these are potential opportunities for anybody. So with that, we got this list. Let's go ahead, Braden, let's kick it to you and see what you think, man. What's good?
Well, RBF.com is obviously a solid name, good store of value. It's 3 decent letters. I like the name Venstar. It's been used a bunch of times over the years by different companies. I used to have a vending business, and I had these bulk candy machines, and they were called Venstar.
Really?
Of course. How was that?
Yeah.
How was
Yeah,
that?
how was the do you not do that vending machine business anymore? I've heard it's great business.
It's in the
So I started that business. I'm 54. I started that business when I was 22, 23. So 30 years ago. And
It was a youngin'.
yeah. And it grew to a pretty sizable business. I had like cold food machines and snack machines and soda machines and stuff. I had them in department store and factory lunchrooms and I had employees, I had vans, that whole thing. And it is still around. I gave the company to my sister and her husband. First I gave it to my dad 20 years ago, and I gave it to my sister about 10, 12 years ago when my dad passed away. And so they still run it, and it's called Vendrite. Still run it, and
Oh wait, hey, maybe they want to rebrand Event Star. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. So I don't think it's worth a lot of money, but it's just, to me, it's kind of out there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a good brand for vending business, but it's just not going to fetch much.
This is one of those names you pick up on nostalgia and it sits in your portfolio till you die.
Yeah.
Till I die. Yeah, exactly.
This is actually week 4 in a row of Domain Sherpa reviews. And the fact that we're still getting names out the list is actually shout out to NameJet. It shows that there's still some pretty good names roll through there and some decent volume. But
yeah. So I think he hit it right with the RBF and Hoagie were my 2 favorite out of the gate. But working out, I think again, I think like builder tools probably will have some value to somebody building out, but it's not going to have a lot of it. But I do think that the agent tools and building tools and vibe coding tools, I think that market's getting bigger and bigger. Although I do think they're going to go with some of the names we talked about earlier, cooler names. So that might be a bit too generic. So kind of talk my way out of that one. I'll talk about why I don't like rehabilitating. Obviously a huge category, super trillion-dollar industry with aging and injury, but everybody says rehab. or everybody has some other care name. They're just not going to use rehabilitating as a brand of any sense. So those are names I run from. I don't, not only do I skip, I tell other people not to buy it just because I don't think it has too much value. The one you put up there for me is localgrowers.com. So I'll go ahead and eat it since you
Thank you.
put
Thank
that
you.
out there. Again, it's not going to have much value except to build out. When I look at a name where I see the value is the building out with the name, that just makes a name less valuable. Doesn't mean it's not a great name with a build out, but local growers will have to spend money putting local plants that you want and who's growing it within a radius of you. So it's going to take a lot of work to make that domain of value, and it'll work well together, right? That's a great name if you want to find a plant and then find who's near me to buy that plant. That's something people do every single day, but that's a build out, and that's where all the money. So that's why the Estabat's so low for that.
Sure.
Same with surveillance cameras, blink and billions of dollars, and we're just getting too generic in all those names. And there's a lot more of them on this list today, and generic is not where it's at this point in time.
That's the kind of field where SEO still is king, and
Market's real good for that too.
Yeah, and .org works well. So I think careeradvice.org is it's a decent little name. You know, probably a great spread. And that's, at the end of the day, I say this all the time. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the most valuable name on the list. I'm looking for the name where I can get the biggest spread and the highest sell-through rate, right? And so I think Career Advice has a lot of market opportunity, and I think you can probably pick that up for a very low price and probably sell it for a reasonable price, like, you know, let's say 10 to 15 grand. And so if you could pick that up for a grand or less, or maybe even 2,500 grand or less, 2,500 bucks, and you could, I'm fairly confident you find a buyer for that name, especially if you do a little outbound in the 10, 12, 15 grand range. So I like Career Advice. I think that's probably got a great, ROI on here. And I really like Choreo. I don't know. Again, I don't know that it's got enormous value. It's definitely like speculative and it's a punt, but it's not that easy to find great little 5-letter, 6-letter, easy to pronounce, easy to spell brands. Doesn't have to mean anything. Although Choreo probably does mean something in Italian or in Spanish or something.
Well, correre is to run, to move.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but I think with 2 R's, no?
and that's why I didn't like it as much as it exudes movement and running to me, but you're exactly right. It would be the double R's.
Yeah.
And people will think that when they spell it, honestly.
Yeah. But it's a nice, it's a 5-letter, easy to spell, easy to pronounce little brand. And I think that has value in and of itself. Doesn't have to mean anything in particular. I think you probably pick that up for 2,500 bucks or less, probably under 2 grand, if I had to guess. And it's the type of name I price for 25 grand. So or maybe 25, 30, 35, something in that range. And so again, much lower, let's say, probability of a quick turnaround on that name, but it's the kind of name for, a grand or two, I don't mind sticking in my portfolio long term. Because there's always somebody out there looking for a brand, and it's getting increasingly harder and harder to find them. And so for that price, I think it's a buy.
And the one thing,
and surveillance cameras, I'm with you. It's very long. It's very hard to spell. But there is some SEO benefit to having it, and there's lots of companies in the business, and probably one of them. If you were the key is you got to buy that name cheap. If you can get that name for cheap, meaning a couple of grand, under 5, I think you can find I think you find an end user that buys that name from you. If they're in the surveillance business, they buy that name from you for 25. Somebody's out there that says, yeah, sure, I'll take a punt. I want to own it. I'll, let my ego get a hold of me, and I'll pay 25 grand and buy surveillancecameras.com. So I think I agree with everything you said, but if you can buy it right, there's some margin
Sure.
on it.
Well, we say it on
Yeah,
the show all the time. You make the money on the buy, not necessarily the
RBF,
sell.
I feel like RBF just sounds so familiar to me.
but here's the thing about this is a great part about NameJet is if you look at the age, these haven't been for sale most likely at 30 years
Love
old.
that. That's
So
it.
if somebody wanted surveillance cameras, they didn't really probably get a chance to buy it. So you are getting first shot of somebody that wanted to buy some of these things. You'll be the first person that actually has a chance to sell it. So but here's the thing about this is a great part about NameJet is if you look at the age, these haven't been for sale most likely at 30 years
Love
old.
that. That's
So
it.
if somebody wanted surveillance cameras, they didn't really probably get a chance to buy it. So you are getting first shot of somebody that wanted to buy some of these things. You'll be the first person that actually has a chance to sell it. So I don't think RBF, my guess, there's no way someone bought it and kept it at Network Solutions if they bought it before. It's probably first time light of day, most likely. I mean, we could do some research, but like
I love that
Venstar.
you Google RBF and the first thing that comes up is resting bitch face.
That's pretty funny.
That's a
But I think you make a really good point, Shane. And this goes back to what Drew said earlier about Tory.com is that
Yeah.
names that have
100%.
never been available in the market before, and Monty says that a lot in the names con auctions. And, and I think it also goes back to, we used to run, some of the analytics when I ran NameJet to see like just the price differential between auction, like expiring names versus third party seller names. And now some of it was because third party seller names would have reserves, but, and it's tough to quantify because, each name is unique and everything. But the, names would sell for more money for sure if they were either a drop or an expiring domain. Same exact name would sell for 30% more, 40% more. I mean, it was really like to the point that sellers, and I
Is it
think
really
Drew was
that much?
probably, what's
Is
that?
it
Yep.
really that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the delta was pretty
As I
significant.
back in the day when I was, probably one of the top 3-4 sellers on NameJet, and it would drive me nuts. I was trying to push this guy, who unfortunately never took the advice of like, yo, don't differentiate. Can you just put them all as the same? Don't say, oh, this one's a drop or this one's a private listing. Like, just put it out there. It's an auction. Let
Yeah.
people buy it. Let them do their own diligence.
That's how I built my portfolio when Steve Brown was the manager. He was a very first
Yeah, he
guy.
was first guy. Yeah.
He let us put him in mixed in, so I was killing it because
In those early days, that's what it was.
Well, you got to be willing to do it at no reserve. But yes, like, and this was the point I was going to say, Drew and other early, big time sellers on the platform would be like, hey, let me just put my stuff in as expiry, and
Well, it wasn't even that we were trying to like say, oh, this is expiring. We were just trying
right,
to
we're
say,
just
don't
trying to say
label
it's
it.
all the same. Yeah.
either like the name
Label
or
it
you
all the
don't.
same.
Yeah, because, and a lot of it was because people look at it for a few things. One, it's, something that hasn't been available in the past. Two, it's the idea that if it's a domain owner name, then it's been probably pitched and pushed and, and it's traded hands a couple of times. And, maybe there's more hair on it, or at least like, that it's been, kind of like, again, pushed out to the market so much that, that takes away some of that new car smell. Right. And, yeah.
New car smell on an expired 30-year-old name. Simmer down.
Barn find is a better analogy. It's a barn find.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
All right, fair enough. I'm just saying though, but but that was a real thing, and so it's just interesting, and I do think that there is value for these names that have not been available. And again, Drew, you brought it up yourself with Tory, and I think that's all. We say it a lot again about when you talk about a name like Corio. This is what I think is interesting because this touches on something that Shane alluded to, which is generics versus brands, right? Brandable domains have more value now than a lot of generics. Parking is not the same. Search continues to evolve and change. The branding is key. Corio seems to have some decent sort of use. It seems like it's the last name. There's a couple other companies. There's a restaurant in Philly. Like there's definitely some stuff where that name is a brand and it.
So you have momentum investors, right? And I would say like everybody investing in .ai right now, that's a momentum investment, right? .ai has momentum. They're chasing that momentum. The problem with that is that at some point that momentum stops and then you're left holding a bag that will then have a much slower, lower STR than your expectation at the time you're making the investment if you continue to hold on. I'm a value investor, whether it's stocks or anything else, I'm a value investor. I'm not looking to buy the hottest, greatest thing at the moment. I want to buy the things that everybody hates, that I believe everybody will come to love later, right? So I'm seeing value where others aren't. Not always. Sometimes I'm seeing dog shit and thinking it's value, but for the most part, I'm looking to find value where others are think it's boring, or others, others are overlooking it, right? Like, and that's not always obvious. In the case of Tory that we discussed, right? These guys don't think that that's a value investment. I think it's a value investment, but it's only because of the perspective I have on, let's say, the namespace or the markets in which I think Tory can be sold. And so, you know, when okay, the perfect example is Warren Buffett's investment into Apple. Everybody made fun of Warren Buffett for not investing into Apple because they said, "Oh, you don't understand technology." He said, "I don't understand technology," and he ignored Apple for a very long time. He could have owned it much, much, much cheaper. But it was the moment when he understood what the future opportunity could be on Apple that he invested. And it turned out he was right. From the moment he invested until the moment he exited, I think he's almost fully out of Apple at this point. He made a massive return, massive. And so he perceived value that others had ignored. And the people that were chasing Apple before that perceived value, or they would perceive momentum, or whatever. Everybody has a different reason for investing. I'm a value investor. I'm looking for value that others are ignoring.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking for a spread, whether I'm buying a name for $400 or $400,000. I'm looking to get a 10x, and it doesn't matter what the price point is, as long as that margin is there.
Yeah.
And mine's a little different. I'm looking for spread at the lower names, and I'm looking for profit dollars at the upper names, right? So I know I probably won't get the same spread if I spend 50 grand or 20 grand or 100 grand, but the profit dollars will be there. And so I kind of change it up the higher it gets.
Yeah, if I think I'm going to turn a name pretty quickly and I buy something for 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand, but I think I'm going to very quickly turn 200 grand into, 500 grand in a year, or 200 grand into $1 million in 2 or 3 years, I'll still take that investment, even though it's not the 10x I really am looking for, like Braden.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I always say that I pay my bills in profit, right? Yeah, I don't pay nobody asks me what my return is when I'm paying my mortgage. They pay it.
Especially the IRS, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. And we had a problem at the nursery. My dad's a margin guy. Like, if you make your margins, you'll make your money.
Yeah.
The problem is there's value that doesn't come across in a spreadsheet. So if you're buying something and then pricing everything by margin, and you buy that product half as much and then price it with margin, you're going to make less money. If you make a good buy, you can still keep the original price. You change your margins. You don't just set everything by margin. So there is an art to pricing all of this, and everybody's got their own way, and everybody here has proven that it works for them. So, but it profit dollars pay the bills is what I always say. You get your margins, I'll make my money, and we'll probably be fine.
Now, if you're borrowing money from the bank or otherwise, then your margin suddenly becomes very important, right? If you're working on a 9% margin, a 12% margin, but you're paying the bank 7 or 8%, you're gonna have a real hard time covering your overhead.
Yeah. No, there's a reason we have margin, right? That's how you measure everything. But again, that being said, you hope to price on margin, and you hope to get a better buy also. Like, then you can really squeeze it. So it's just it's paying attention to the value of the domain and getting the most out of it. Sometimes you'll get that margin, sometimes you won't. And we all talked about this whole show of where we took less, and then there's other time we stuck to it because we knew the value was where it's at.